We're in for a wild night.
Hello and welcome everybody to Season 4, Week 1 of the Born to be Wild listener series. Very excited to be hosting and casting our Week 1 match here, featuring Season 3 winner JordanMG versus our legendary lore keeper Goliath the Dwarf. So very excited to get this started tonight. Joining me our podcast co-host Hydralisk and Electric Sheep City, and very excited to be spending more time with y'all getting to cast this match. Let's just jump right into things and talk about the rules for Season 4. I will cover this real quick, and then I'll pass the mic over to Electric Sheep City to talk about this week's restrictions. So similar to last season, we are using the Conquest format. For anyone not familiar with that, this is each competitor will bring 4 decks. One deck is banned. To win the game or the entire series, the person needs to, once you win with a deck, you have to move on to a different deck. But essentially, you have to win with all 3 decks. So yeah, pretty simple, straightforward. It's exactly what we used last season as well. And a big fan of the Conquest format because it spotlights the deck building as they must win with each deck. So really looking forward to this. We do have special deck building restrictions each week that were submitted by members of the Wild community here. And so I'm very excited for what this season has in store. Sheep, can you please tell us about this week?
Absolutely. So this week's challenge is Split, submitted by Kay. So the restrictions for Split are that minions can only cost 4 or 6 mana, and spells can only cost 3 or 8 mana. And you can only run minions or spells in your deck, so none of those pesky weapons or hero cards in it as well. So, of course, we do have a few season-wide bans this season. Those are Gin and Baku, no odd or even decks, Ice Block, and then the Hunter and Warrior quest lines. So no Defend the Dwarven District and no Raid the Docks. Of course, also are banned are the cards that are banned from the Wild format altogether. So no Stealer of Souls and no Demon Seed, because you wouldn't be able to play them in this format regardless. Yeah.
Unless you built some really weird standard deck. That wouldn't be very good now, would it?
No. Exactly. So those are the week 1 building restrictions. So those are the building restrictions for this week. Hydra, what are the decks that we are looking at for this go around? And yeah.
All right. So for Goliath the Dwarf has brought 4 different decks. Of course, one is banned by Jordan. So Goliath has brought Warlock, Druid, and Paladin. And of course, the Mage, which is the final deck, which has been banned by Jordan. But so for the Warlock, we're starting off with quite the tasty little treat here. It seems to be a bit of a demon lock. So we have these restrictions, right? So if we're looking at what types of spells that can be brought, we're only looking at these 3 mana spells and the 8 mana spell. So topping off at the end is some control tools with Twisting Nether. We've got demons like Hooked Reaver, which can be, really dangerous early in the game because basically, I guess on 4 mana, that's when you can only start playing minions right off the bat, right? So that could be a pretty big minion, if we can get it out pretty early. And then we have the Druid coming up next. And we've got some tasty little numbers in here. I have not seen Giggling Inventor in a while. When was the last time you guys seen this card?
Gosh, it's been a year or more.
So I really love these deck building restrictions. We've got a bunch of different spells in here. Goliath's got some ways to armor up with Ferocious Howl and to draw some cards. He's got some healing. There's Circus Amalgam, which is a great card to include because it's rated that 4 mana mark. It's got the good health. It's got the taunt. So it's pretty neat. I'm really liking this. There's some more heal in here. We've got Serenite Chain Gang, which is an amazing card, for those defensive mechanisms and for the stats. And then we have the Paladin. So one thing that I love about this Paladin is at the 4 mana mark, we've got quite a really cool card in here, which is the Noah's Dormu, the Timeless. And this is the card that, of course, sets each players to 10 mana crystals. So I'm looking forward to seeing if Goliath is going to, drop this card. That really can change the way that the game goes. This is mostly a dragon build that Goliath has going. And I really love the dragon synergy. You get to see some old favorites like Bone Drake. We have the dangerous card, Battlegrounds Battlemaster, which we all know is quite notorious. This is going to give adjacent minions Wind Fury. If Goliath can pull this off, this is going to be quite strong.
Absolutely. Yeah. That card is crazy strong, and it costs 6 mana, so it fits right in.
Absolutely. So moving on to Jordan's brought decks. So, of course, Goliath also brought Mage, which is banned, so we won't go into it too much. So Jordan brought Shaman, which is also banned, and Demon Hunter. Jordan's Demon Hunter is kind of like a death rattle Demon Hunter with some big demon synergies going on. It's got Maiev thrown in there, and a lot of the lifesteal package with Il'gynoth and like Chaos Beam and Ice Beam or Eye Beam, which if it's in the outcast position, may only cost him 1 mana to cast, despite it meeting the deck building restriction of costing 3 mana. So that's rather clever of Jordan there. As well as, of course, things to gain additional attack, like Relentless Pursuit, and just deal with the board with Soul Cleave, and so able to cheat out big demons early with Raging Fell Screamer, able to get additional big demons with things like Korea Fell Soul, and draw additional cards with Daddy Rome, Cornelius Rome. And then kind of to top it all off, got the finisher of Inner Demon.
Ooh.
The 8 mana spell. Give your hero +8 attack this turn.
Spicy.
So pushing that final damage in. Jordan's Mage, however, is a kind of secret mage. So he's got a lot of secrets in that package there. Being 3 mana, it's the perfect spot for it. Then got some secret synergy cards with things like Ethereal Arcanist and Occult Conjurer, of course, also Cabal Crystal Runner and Sage Seer of the Dark Moon.
Wait a minute, there's a restriction violation here. Cabal Crystal Runner costs 0 mana, so I'm not quite sure how this made it in the deck.
Too funny. I was like, wait, what?
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
We do see another Giggling Inventor in here. So Giggling Inventor is being brought by contestants here. And then ways to stall out the game with said Giggling Inventor, Varden Dawngrasp. And then, of course, our big spells here being Deep Freeze and Power of Creation. Those can be played multiple times with Grey Sage Parrot as well. Ooh. That buff being bringing it down to 6 mana. Paying off here.
Excited. My favorite is Toki. I want to see what Toki comes out of this. I considered putting Toki in my deck and thought, that's more fun than it is good, but I want to see what happens here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This druid is spicy too.
Rounding it out is that druid. So of course he's got the Jade package with Jade Blossom, Jade Spirit, and then, of course, Aya Blackpaw and Jade Behemoth. That's a really strong little Jade package for this week. Also got things like Bees and Bog Beam, which, hey, will cost 0 mana. There's another one of those rule violations for us. Frostwolf Kennels to go wide. Kiri Chosen of a Loon, which will be really fun. And then at the top end, Jordan has Cenarian Ward to make a big minion. Gift of the Wild, which gives your minions +2/+2 in taunt, and Forest Aid to go wide. So it can go wide and then buff them on up. And of course, also has a couple of Spiteful Summoners thrown in there since he's running 5/8 cost spells. May as well throw that in to see if you can pull out a big minion. If it whiffs, it's only dragging a 3, so it's a 6 mana 4/4 with a random 3 drop. Still pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that wraps up Jordan's decks as well. I think we are free to tell them to begin their match, and then we will begin when ready.
Exciting. As Sheep would say, excitement abounds.
Excitement abounds.
I absolutely looking forward to these matches, and the deck building is so much fun. And again, big shout out to Kay for the deck building restriction suggestion for this week. It's a very, very unique, and deck building was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, it was.
All right, they're getting started
Without
here.
further
Here we
ado,
go.
we are diving into our match. So we've got Jordan on the bottom and Goliath the Dwarf on top. Goliath brought the Paladin first. Jordan brought the Druid. And Goliath the Dwarf is going first.
I see
Feels
a
funny
Nozdormu
keeping
in
those-
hand.
Oh no! Yes, there we go.
Hey, you called it Hydra.
It feels funny keeping those 4 drops in the mulligan, hey, but that's that's how we start.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and those 4 drops will be coming down here quicker than we would think with that Nozdormu the Timeless in hand for sure.
Absolutely. I think the kind of the nature of this week's challenge is that the first couple of turns, you don't do a whole lot except hero power, just because we can't do anything until 3 mana. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The Nozdormu is going to really be a game changer here. So excited to kind of see what happens. Sorry. Also, one real quick note for anyone watching this, you'll see the hero portraits over on the left side of the screen for the competitors and the classes representing the decks. If they win, or when they win rather, they'll have a green check over the hero power indicating a win with that class.
Definitely.
We'll see the Twilight Guardian over the Nozdormu here.
Yeah, I was thinking that Nozdormu was going to come down and be the kind of negate all of Jordan's ramp, but excited to see kind of Goliath play for board here. Jordan doesn't really have a good way of cleanly dealing with that Twilight Guardian, so it makes sense. It contests pretty nicely.
Here it is. Here's Nozdormu.
We knew he was coming down sooner rather than later.
Oh! It just goes face, gets that damage in. Well, Goliath knows that Twilight Guardian's going to be taken out, so may as well get that chip damage in.
0 mana Bog Beam too.
Yeah, that
And
insta
no
ramp.
respect for the Nozdormu.
Going face, booping face, a 4/7 damage. And Jordan drawing both a card. Unfortunately, Goliath does not get a dragon to get the battle cry of Wing Commander off. Oh, of Utgard Grapple Sniper. So does not tutor it from his hand. Jordan, with so many options here, can kind of clean up the board. Could go face for 16.
Face seems so tempting.
It really does. Can't blame him for kind of playing it safe here. He's got board. He's got ways to make more board. And those
Jades
green
are
men
already
just
getting
keep
bigger.
on getting bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, already at 5/5s. That seems so fast.
Yeah, that Jade package this week was just really strong. Glad to see it paying off for Jordan here as well. And those taunts doing some work, keeping that Nozdormu from going face, connecting there. Jordan so close to lethal. Jordan has lethal.
The Park Panther does it.
Yeah, Park Panther.
And that'll be game 1 in the books.
Congratulations, Jordan.
The champ showing exactly why he won last season.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, quick and decisive victory there.
Hey, they were at 10 mana.
Definitely. So that is 1 win down for Jordan. Only needs 2 more to end the week? Or will Goliath come back and win it himself?
So both decks are switched. We have Jordan coming in, obviously needing to get a win with a different deck, coming in with the Mage. And Goliath has decided to bring his Warlock.
I imagine Jordan's looking for early game secrets. Oh, and there you go.
And ask and you shall receive. Ooh, and that Conjurer's Calling coming in clutch too. Yeah, Jordan's just got a lot of things going on here pretty soon. Goliath can draw a couple with that, or a few, with that backfire, kind of prepare for next turn. Both kind of having a pretty good early hand for both contestants. You love to see that. Snap playing that Occult Conjure, because of course he is.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that explains the decision to play that particular secret that Jordan knew wouldn't trigger last turn.
Mm-hmm. But it will trigger this turn. Dang. Oh no. Okay, so Jordan with 11 damage on board. The polymorph boar, that could be 15, so not quite looking at lethal yet, but we're already doing some lethal calculations here.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan respecting Goliath's board and playing that Conjurer's Calling. Love to see it.
We're going to see a secret here. Polymorph boar.
Well, I was going to say, he does not want the death rattle to trigger on that that skeleton.
Oh no.
And Korok getting burnt for Goliath. But that Hooked Reaver putting in some work, putting a stopgap in. Keep Jordan from pushing for lethal immediately.
And he's Conjurer's Calling just to... Oh, we still got one taunt in the way. Not big enough of a taunt, unfortunately.
Alas.
And that's game.
Yeah, Mage is in a really good spot with all those secrets this week. So makes sense to see Jordan pick up the win there. Mage is just situated so well. It's a really hard deck to beat. So congratulations, Jordan. Good win. That means Jordan only has to win with his Demon Hunter.
Yeah. I love these listener decks because so often there's cards included that I either forgot about entirely or thought were for other classes. I always see Serenite Chain Gang and think it's a Shaman card, or see the Goblin Bomb thing and think it's a Hunter card, and like, what is it doing in that deck? I love it. It's incredible.
Well, we have Goliath bringing the Paladin back from game 1, and Jordan is on to his final deck, Demon Hunter.
Yeah, and so Jordan keeping the Imprisoned Antane, likely to combo with that Warden of Chains, which has the battle cry if you're holding a demon that costs 5 or more, gain +1/+2, and of course it's a taunt. So getting that out early makes sense to keep a larger demon in hand. Jordan also drew Bladed Lady. Goliath looking like he's going to have a little bit earlier game with the fantastic Firebird, Circus Amalgam, and Scale Worm. So really kind of looking to get on board early, whereas Jordan's looking to kind of play a little bit more mid-range here.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that Warden of Chains come down ASAP, exactly why Jordan kept that Antane in hand.
Nice target for the Scale Worm.
Yeah.
And
Goliath
some face
able to
damage
push
in.
3. Yeah. Jordan was immediately going to play the Chaos Leech. But looks like he may have changed his mind. I don't know, that Wind Fury on the Fantastic Firebird can get a lot of chip damage in pretty quick. But those Vile Call taunts do kind of contest. It's a tricky decision there. Jordan deciding to deal with that Fantastic Firebird on board and in hand, or from hand. Can't blame him for that. So Goliath playing that Wing Commander. So Wing Commander, of course, scales with how many dragons you have in hand, kind of as an ongoing basis. And Jordan playing the Imprisoned Antane.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Going for that 12 damage right now. Let's do it.
Let's go. Goliath says, giddy up. Jordan with a couple of decisions.
My blades are just for show.
Turning off the battle cry, keeping his own board and healing up a bit.
Oh, but I see one more in hand.
Oh, wow.
You could barely see it up there, right? But he could do it again
do
if
12
he...
damage. Get him down to 3 health here.
It's so tempting. I wonder.
Looks
Yeah.
like he's going for it.
He's going for it. Set Jordan to 3. Oh,
There's some lifesteal.
that Chaos Leech for Jordan was
That's clutch.
huge top deck.
That's the health gain he needs right there.
Well, and it also allows him to not have to trade off the Bladed Lady.
And so able to heal up, preserve his board, make even more of a board, and those Ravenous Vile Fiends do have lifesteal to kind of claw Jordan back into this game.
And presenting lethal next turn if Goliath can't do anything about it.
That's a pretty quick claw. Oh,
That's a big boy.
Oh my goodness.
huge righteous defense hit.
It's a good thing he's immune for this.
Yeah, no joke. Okay, so Jordan gonna play the Il'gynoth to push an additional 4. So he's dealing 9 damage this turn, setting Goliath to 7.
This is a close one.
Goliath healing up, but that is just lethal with the lifesteal effect from Il'gynoth, and Jordan is gonna claim victory for
Congrats,
not
Jordan.
just the game, but the match. Congratulations, Jordan.
Well played.
Well played.
Well played indeed.
Do we want to do a quick interview with the players?
Absolutely. It's just asking them if they were ready for that thing. Let's jump over into that chat. We will be speaking with our contestants here very shortly.
Greetings, travelers.
Hey.
Well played.
JordanMG, how's it going?
It's going good.
Hey, yeah. First off, thank you both for letting us cast your games. Good games and good deck building. It was really fun to look over the lists here, and it's always exciting. First casted match of the season, and so yeah. Thank you much, and congrats on the victory tonight, Jordan.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun this week. It was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. After the first couple of days, I was a little worried with the restriction that it would be agreed off.
Yes.
But I think it turned out to be make your deck as greedy as possible while you can still kill somebody. So that was fun.
Was a little sad to not see the Spiteful Summoner come down.
Yeah, I didn't draw any of my spells. It would have been probably pretty bad.
You know, it's a little
Good
risky
God.
with the you've got some high end spells and some low end ones, and it's like, well, maybe it could whiff, I guess.
It's 9 to 5, so you're pretty likely to hit the 3, but you mulligan for the 3s, so it's usually around a 50-50.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And if you hit the 8, you probably win the game, so worth
Yeah.
trying. But when you can play Jade Blossom into Jade Spirit into Jade Spirit into Jade Behemoth into Jade Behemoth, nothing else really matters.
No,
That game was pretty silly.
that was.
I had a really good hand.
Yeah, that Jade package is really strong this week. So aside from the Jade package and the Spiteful Summoner kind of package in Mage, how did you approach deck building for the week this go around?
So kind of how I mentioned, the goal I had, so the first couple of days, there were Maxi does his thing where you finds the most aggro thing you can do, and then he destroys you with it, and you go, uh-oh. And then as I played more and more, I realized, okay, if you get answered once as an aggro deck in this format, you kind of just lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I also realized that if you lose the board in this format, it's really hard to get it back because there's no clears at 3 and 8 and any other class than Warlock. So you kind of just die if you get behind on board. So when I realized that, I just built my decks as greedy as I could while still being able to consistently play a 4 into a 5 into a 6 into a 7 into 8 and just never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was kind of my goal, was to just have big stat bombs or proactive things so I could never lose board. I do kind of regret not bringing Warlock, though. I did notice a Volcanic Drake. Big props on that. I got blown out by that in testing.
Yeah.
The Twisting Nether into Volcanic Drake or the Entitled Customer into Void Caller is the only way in this entire format that you can clear a big board and develop your own tempo. And it's just game winning if you get to pull it off. So I probably should have brought Warlock, but otherwise I enjoyed my decks a lot.
I remember
Well, it
in
seemed to work out
testing
for you.
Yeah, well, didn't you mention you create 8, 9, 10 decks or something?
Yeah, I had a lot of decks. A lot of decks. The best aggro deck was Paladin because you have Day at the Fair, Muster for Battle, and then the 4 drops that buff dudes. So if you play dudes on turn 3 into buff dudes on turn 4, that's the best aggro in the format. You kind of just steamroll. But if you don't do that, the deck's doo-doo, so I didn't bring it. But the Rogue too, I think is decent if you can not die, because it's if you don't die and it's just greed and keeping the board, you can do all sorts of death rattle, double death rattle, rogue stuff. But I didn't have time to figure that out. I saw Jules playing it; it looked pretty fun. But I think I had the deck for basically every
That's
class.
my opponent.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that
Spoilers.
Korak and
Oh, you can see his decks. Never mind.
Yeah.
If he brought it, he brought it. Yeah. If you do, there's 3 things in this format where if you do it on turn 3, you win the game instantly. A Netheron is one. If you play a Netheron on 3, you pretty much can't lose. The other is sketchy and format into Korak or making a 5/5 off your death rattle. That's really good. And the third is Totemiking Reflectioning a totem that you developed on turn 2, a shaman. Those are the best plays in the whole format. You just steamroll. So if the rogue does that, you're gonna be in for a treat. Especially if you can't kill the Korak, you just kind of suffer at the infinite.
Yeah. So Goliath, what thoughts did you put into building your decks this week? What kind of angle were you going with?
Well, really, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing, if I'm being entirely honest here. We got the reigning champ versus the rookie, honestly, here, but I did have a few thoughts going in. I'm a very synergy-focused person when I actually do get around to trying to build my own decks instead of just copying everything that you guys put in the Discord, because there's so much great stuff there. So I often think about tribes quite a bit, and so when I was building the Paladin, I was just going through, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of 4 and 6 dragon and dragon-related cards here. Initially, I had gotten the rules mixed up, had to double check, where I was going for the 3 and 8 cost dragon and dragon mini cards, and then I had to completely switch it, but it still worked because there was enough. And I was actually pretty happy with the way that worked out given the restrictions, because while most of the things I didn't actually get a chance to pull off in these games, that there was the potential with these deck building restrictions for things like, when you draw the cards and if it's a dragon, summon it and all that stuff. So I really appreciated that. That's something about this format. There was the potential to be able to use these in ways they might not work in a regular game. Warlock was basically just an edited version of a standard deck that I initially built in order to grind some of the Warlock achievements for this expansion, focusing a lot on the death rattles, the cards that, kill them, but then they can come back, or something more powerful comes back. And I just kind of basically worked on, I couldn't have the Tamsin hero card in there or anything, but just worked on being able to get that into the format. not one of my stronger ones, I think, but it was still it was fun to tinker with. And Druid was initially something that I was trying to do a few too many things at once. It had a lot of extra taunt and defense in there initially, but I owe a lot to Snoopy Daddy, who helped me take my core ideas and refine them to something a little more competitive and focused on making it basically entirely token based. No, you didn't get to see me actually play that one, but it was very token based, and that would have been very much the luck of the draw if I got things to summon enough stuff quickly.
Schmoopy
Shout out
does like his
Schmoopy.
token druid stuff for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I wouldn't feel too bad about losing this one Goliath. I had COVID this past week, so basically 24/7 I was just playing this listener series, testing with anyone who would have my time. So I tested it for like 30 hours, and I had like 8-10 decks to refine before I finally chose 4.
Maxie warned me about you very heavily. Like, I can't tell you how much I was freaking out when I realized my first time I'm facing the reigning champ. I just like, I'm not at all surprised by how this worked out. But hey, I don't believe in being a sore loser. You won things fair and square and all, but I am honestly, I think, the least qualified in this community. Like I said, I am the resident lore master. I'm not the resident deck builder. If we were having a thing where instead of having to build the deck, I would just tell you the story behind each card in it, I may win, but that's not how this works.
Yeah, definitely getting help to build decks is nice. I definitely use insight from other people for sure, and then just refine them once I find what's good. Like this week, I learned like 20 hours in that Mana Saber's kind of nasty because you can go 4 into 6 and there's no 5s. And I learned that my Yav is like insane because you set a 6-drop of sleep and then you can swing the board and then have a way to deal with it in 2 turns. And I learned that Sylvanas is just obnoxious because you got a board full of 4s and 6-drops. You play a Sylvanas, what do? You just lose a minion.
Do you think that while building, you paid a lot more attention to some certain 4 and 6 cost cards that you might not have paid attention to otherwise because they aren't normally wild viable?
Yeah, like, so the first time around, my first impressions, I looked at these cards and I looked at things like Sylvanas and things like Mana Saber and even like Torojo Brave. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Like, I look at these cards and I go, these suck. These are bad Hearthstone cards. But then when you start playing, you go, wait a minute. If my opponent plays a 6-mana 4/8 that says Frenzy, destroy random enemy minion, I'm really annoyed by this card. This card is not a real Hearthstone card, but it's going to own me here. What do I do? And so there's a lot of deck cards that I wouldn't normally play. And some I had crafted, which is always fun with the listener series. Crafting absolute garbage.
Building that
sad
collection.
I crafted cards for Warlock. I didn't bring it. That was real sad. I crafted a Mulch because 3 mana killing a 6-drop seemed kind of nust.
Ooh.
And yeah, and then there's like cards like Nordassel Druid. I didn't know that card was real. It's a 4 mana 3/5 that makes your 3-cost spell free. That card's nasty, right? Like when you have all 3-cost spells in your deck. So like,
that's one of the core cards. It's like that's really easy to miss. We don't have a history of when it was new and fresh. It's you don't open them in packs or anything. It's just they appear in your collection, and if it's not something that catches your eye that you want to use, it's real easy to miss. I'd forgotten that it was a card until you played it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would have noticed that. I think I saw Maxie play that card and I go, huh, that's a card. That's pretty good in a 4 and 3 format. And so that's kind of how I do things. Is I get help from people and then help them as well. But I'm really good at like refining the decks, not so much initially building them. But yeah, this week was kind of interesting. I don't know if it was a healthy format, but it was certainly fun as a fresh mix-up. The lack of being able to come back is probably not healthy. But it's like if you play a 4-mana 8/8, right? Like I'll call it Conjure or something. It's kind of hard to win unless you have a comeback, which is like basically Warlock exclusive.
Hey, I played a 4-mana 8/8 with Nozdormu, and you absolutely crushed me.
That's a little bit different because then I got to play a 6 and a 4. But yeah, and I already had I already have 2 4s in play too. Yeah, the format's like kind of like Arena, but like there's literally no way to come back. Not like an RNG way to come back. I thought about running cards like Haunting Visions and the Shaman, just so I could like sometimes discover a card that's like good, but and like it's like probably not worth it to try to get the 1 AOE clear. But yeah, it was so fun getting to play cards like Sylvanas. I crafted Il'gynoth to play it as a 6-mana 4/8 on curve, like no OTK. Just I crafted Il'gynoth to be able to play it on turn 6 because
Yeah.
Diamond put it in the deck because he just owned it and he didn't own something I owned. And he played it and I go, wait a minute, I lose. That's an 8/8 and I can't kill it. And then when you know, like it says it's a 4/8, so you go, I'm fine, it's a 4/8. And then he battle masters you for 16 and you go, wait, what? I'm dead. So it's like, okay, I guess I gotta craft that card. Because for some reason in this format exactly, playing out on 6 is insane. My dust is a little low right now. Crafted like mulch, crafted some epics and warlock I didn't bring. I crafted Ilganov.
Hey, you know what?
But
They'll
this way, you're that much closer
Brutal.
to getting the special coins for having the card, every card in that set.
something like
exactly, and or that much closer to getting a complete collection. There you go.
Blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah, well earned victory, Jordan. You're well on your way to trying to defend your crown. Is there anything that you would like to tell, as the reigning champ, that you would like to tell some of our newer participants, like Goliath, kind of some ideas on how to approach the tournament series?
Absolutely. First and foremost, something that most people don't realize is that the way seeding works every week after week 1 is if you went 3-0, you're going to verse somebody who also went 3-0, and if you went 0-3, you're also going to verse somebody who went 0-3 and every rank in between. So if you lose week 1, it is not over because someone at the top has to lose and someone at the bottom has to win.
Yep.
So you have plenty of time to still win it all. And that's like really important. I think we mentioned because there are some people who lose week 1 and go, bummer, there's not enough weeks for me to win this. When in reality there is, because it forces the people on the top to verse each other, and so someone has to lose.
Yeah,
That's number
100%. And I think we that's by design so that it's also sort of pairs people together by win rate so that you sort of want to, week 1 is random pairing, and then from there on it's all based on win rate, and that avoids having an accidental upset, your hypothetical brand new player versus your hypothetical veteran in the finals, right? Is not what we're looking for, right? But in the finals, you know what I mean. And so this, I agree 100% with Jordan that ideally, you be paired up with people with the same or very similar win rate, and the other thing that we're looking to avoid is somebody losing week 1 and then just saying, well, I'm just going to pull out of the entire competition because I can't win. And it's like, no, you still have a chance. Like
I lost like week 1 and 3 last season, and I entered at like the 8th seed, so maybe the 6th. I don't know. I was pretty low though. I barely got in last week, and so it's not over.
In, that's
Keep
right.
Yeah, it was Sheep. Yeah, he ended up like tragically, like I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 12, I think.
Yeah, that
because
meant
one of
that
us
I
had
got
to lose.
cast the finals and whatnot. So that was I was very glad to lose that, and especially because you ended up taking the whole thing. Like couldn't lose to a better competitor, right?
Yeah. The second thing I'll say is that the listener series is like in a way its own little community. So like reach out to people, get help with decks, get help playing against people with your decks. Not even so much that you can like win, but it's more fun to go into the match after having tested your decks and knowing they're at least like somewhat refined and fun to play, instead of just like losing because you just have like a bad deck or whatever. And so reach out to people. This is a Discord server for a reason. Plays decks with people. Mm-hmm. Share your ideas around.
Yeah, it's much better than trying to test them on ladder
for sure.
or even in casual for that matter.
I also wouldn't do what Nate does and build your decks 3 hours before the deadline.
That being said, our druid decks were remarkably similar considering. But
also, let it be known, not only can you go from losing, week 1 to actually, doing really well and making the finals, you could be like me and be like top 4 all the way to like the end and then completely tank. That happens too.
Yeah, every week has stakes.
So no one should get cocky.
No,
that's right.
Plenty of time to win or lose. Plenty of time to have fun with miscellaneous decks and cards you'd never play otherwise.
That's half the fun here, I think.
So have fun with it.
Absolutely.
That's my advice.
Well, very much appreciated. And congratulations, Jordan, on your first win of our first casted series of, season 4.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jordan, and well played to both contestants. That was a really fun match to cast, and I look forward to seeing you both down the line and in the series season this season.
GG's for sure.
Very good, y'all. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for our match tonight. The current plan is to continue casting these, try to have a featured match once a week if that's doable for our casters and competitors. And so ideally, we can keep doing this. And we've got so many fun deck building restrictions each week that we've got, I'm sure, plenty of material for highlight reels for ages to come. So thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you everyone who has been in chat, watching, interacting, and everything. It's been awesome to have you guys here rooting both of our players on. And yeah, very, very excited. And thanks everybody for playing.
Jeez.
Have a good night, everyone.
Hooray!
Hooray!